What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's waiver wire video. My name's Hussein the Brain. You're watching The Couch. Let's start off with the bye weeks for week 11. 4 teams are on bye: the Colts, Falcons, Patriots, and Saints. And these are the quarterbacks to add. I'm going to have Josh Dobbs on this list, even though it's a week too late. He's added in every single league, of course, but just in case he's not, I wanted to talk about him. He is a top 5 quarterback. He is an elite quarterback. He's averaging 40 rush yards per game his last 8 games. Absolutely insane. Absolute must add. So Dobbs probably not available on waivers. If you can't get him, look for Russell Wilson, Stafford, Jordan Love, Aiden O'Connell, or Tommy DeVito. Moving on to running backs. If Dameon Pierce is going to miss more time, Devin Singletary is a great add. Of course, when I start him, he gets like 20 yards. When I bench him, he gets like 160 yards. It is what it is. You know how it goes. But the Texans are looking like a real team, and CJ Stroud is looking like a possible MVP candidate, which is nuts. Darrell Henderson usable for another week, but after this week he will turn into a pumpkin because Kyren Williams is expected to be back week 11. So just a 1-week rental at most for Darrell Henderson. And then if you're looking for a backup or a stash or a handcuff, go get one of these guys: Charbonnet, Ty Chandler. Alexander Madison out with a concussion, should be back this week, but we don't know. We saw Roschon Johnson miss multiple games with his concussion. We got Tajay Spears, Latavius Murray, Elijah Mitchell, Kenneth Gainwell. Good handcuff there. Joshua Kelly and Jerick McKinnon, who can always go to the distance, get a home run touchdown. Not bad in PPR leagues, but other than that, he doesn't really get too many touches. He might get like 5 touches in a game if he's lucky. For wide receivers, we got Brandon Cooks. Looks like this offense is all day Dak, every day, every down, Dak. Not too much Tony Pollard being used the past few weeks. Demario Douglas, he's the number 1 receiving option on this team, but the Patriots are on bye, mind you. And if you can't get them, look at Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins is out this week, by the way, or expected to be out. Noah Brown, Elijah Moore, Michael Wilson, Odell Beckham Jr., Trenton Irwin, with Higgins being out, Quinton Johnston, Khalil Shakir, and Jalen Guyton, because we know that everyone's injured on the Chargers, mainly focused on the injuries to Joshua Palmer on IR. Also, Big Mike Williams out for the entire season. And also another injury to Gerald Everett. Yet again, this team is cursed with injuries every year. With tight ends, not a lot of good options, to be honest with you. But we do have Michael Mayer. He is, well, you guys know I love him in Dynasty. He's kind of like a stash, a let's see. He was on this list a few weeks ago when he did well, and it's kind of wishy-washy. This team's this whole offense is centered around Josh Jacobs, but if they do need to throw a little bit more, I still like Michael Mayer. Tyler Conklin's been getting a ton of targets. Zach Wilson is kind of a lately trend that he's throwing to the tight ends quite a bit. Not really doing anything else other than looking at Garrett Wilson and the tight ends. We got Pat Freiermuth, expected to return week 11. I'm a huge Freiermuth fan. The Muth is loose, but he's really not, because the Steelers' offense sucks, and he just doesn't get the numbers. The talent is there. I mean, I think he's amazing. I think he's like a top 7 tight end, but unfortunately, I don't expect that to happen at all. Like, it's pretty much a lock that he's not going to be a top 7 tight end. Unfortunately, he's an extremely low upside tight end. If we can get him a real quarterback and a real OC, maybe that would change, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. We got Luke Musgrave, who I like, but he's kind of on an offense that spreads the ball a lot. and it's not that high powered. So Jordan Love, you're lucky if he throws 2 touchdowns, and chances are one of them's probably not going to be to Musgrave. It's just the way it is. Those are just the facts. Or at least it's like if he does throw 2 touchdowns, it's a 50% chance one's going to go to Musgrave at most. That's the percentage at most. We got Daniel Bellinger with Waller's injury and Donald Parham. He does get a slight boost if Everett does miss time, but Parham's a good red zone target. Decent add in deep leagues. For defenses, what you want to do is try to get one of these top 6. Don't worry too much about the rankings. I'm going to kind of set a tier here. It's not a very hard tier because the Lions D could be very good, kind of risky. Let's make it a hard tier. Try to get one of these top 6. And it's not a big difference between my number 1 option, the Niners D, and the number 6 option, the Commanders D. So at number 6, excuse me, I gotta drink some water. At number 6, we got the Commanders D going against the Giants. At 5 and 4, we got the Steelers and Browns D. They're playing each other in Cleveland. At 3, we have one of my favorites here, the Dolphins D going against the Raiders. This could be a bit of a high-scoring game. We can see a lot of field goals, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of big plays in the run game and pass game. So it could be a kind of a sleeper shootout game here. But I do like the Dolphins defense, is the chance that they can get some big plays, cause some big turnovers, force the Raiders to do something they're not used to, because they're used to running the ball well, kicking field goals, and playing good enough defense with guys like Max Crosby. And if they can't do those things, then you can't really do much about the field goals, but if you can kind of negate their defense and pass rush and force them to throw the ball, all it takes is one big play for your defense to go off. Then we have the Bills D, which I do have tremendous faith in this week. I don't love the Bills defense per se, but this is fantasy, right? Again, it's the same point I just made. All it takes is one big play, or it just takes the Jets not scoring any touchdowns. And trust me, when you go against Zach Wilson, both those things are very likely, especially with a good defense with the Bills. Now, one reason we can't really trust them is injuries. They are down a lot of players, but I still like them. They're still a great defense. I would still, for this week in fantasy, I'd still trust them. And of course, at number 1, I got the Niners D. That trade for Chase Young. When I went on a live stream, it was kind of polarizing. It was like 60 to 70% saw. Which is the right way to see. There's only a right and a wrong with this. It was an absolute great trade for the Niners to get Chase Young. A no-brainer, depending on what perspective you look at it, because you could skew anything to make your point. But in a perspective that I brought up, they got Chase Young for free, talent with a ton of potential. And basically, we saw it like that. It just destroyed the Jaguars instantly. They Thanos them. This was a great trade. And so now we're seeing the Niners step back to being an elite team, just like that. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what I believe. And that's what I think that's what the deal is. And now they're facing the Bucs. The Bucs are a solid team, but like I said, I like them. Not a big difference between the Niners D and Commanders D. Any of these 6 are great, but seems like we spent all the time on this video talking about these 6 defenses. So let's move on. At number 7, I got the Lions D going against the Bears, Jags D going against the Titans. At 8 and 9, Chargers D going against the Packers. At 10, the Texans D going against the Cardinals. And at 11, I got the Broncos D going against the Vikings. You can't get any of those guys. The Vikings D, very underrated this year. I just picked them up in a dynasty league. Yes, I'm in a dynasty league that has defenses. They've somehow been scoring fantasy points. It doesn't really need to make sense, but they do score fantasy points. They're actually one of the top fantasy defenses, and going against the Broncos, it's not that bad of a matchup. Russell Wilson has been playing well, but hasn't really thrown for 300-400 yards. He's doing a lot of sub 200 pass yard games, and I mean, this could be a good game. I think the main concern for the Vikings has got to be Javonte Williams, who looks pretty close to how we saw him in his rookie year when he was just balling out, looking incredible. He looks pretty close to the old Javonte Williams. He's kind of looked like that the past 2 games. I think they just had a bye. So the last 2 games we saw Javonte Williams, he's looked really good. And so that would be the main concern if I was the Vikings D. For kickers, we have lots of great options. Really want to try to get, really any of these top 6 are good. I really like Joey Sly this week. He's at number 7, but he's going to be risky. Sometimes I rank kickers lower or completely avoid them if it's impossible to predict. Joey Sly is tough to predict. There's a lot of factors here. Joey Sly is good. He's mid. Some games, like, he's up and down. This game, it's a division game, so there could be some funky stuff going on. But overall, I still think he's a great streaming option. I'll just read through the list. At number 1, I got the Dolphins kicker, Jason Sanders. Number 2, Lions kicker, Riley Patterson. Number 3, Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey. And number 4, I got Jake Moody. They're facing the Bucks, but that doesn't really matter. Like I said, I think the Niners are back. I think Jake Moody is back. And I have full confidence in him. Harrison Butker, super elite kicker. Not the best matchup this week, but still, like, if you got him, I'm totally fine with starting him. You don't really need to make any changes. I don't think I would. It's not like it's a horrible matchup where he won't get any extra points or field goals. He'll still be just fine against the Eagles. And then at number 6, we got Daniel Carlson going against the Dolphins. Like I said, should be a lot of scoring opportunities in this potential shootout. Joey Sly at 7. At number 8, we have Dicker the kicker. At number 9, Tyler Bass. He's been a bust this year. He's been a bust this past week. He was on my all bust list for week 10. Still like him this week. But there's 2 factors why I don't like him. Number 1 is that he sucked this year. Like, it is what it is. There's just a point to where you're not really scoring any fantasy points for my team, bud. You suck. You're a bust. So that's one thing. Number 2, a little bit tough to predict as well, kind of like Joey Sly. A lot of factors here. Will Josh Allen make 4 huge mistakes and nearly blow this game? Well, he did kind of do exactly that week 1 against the Jets. Well, how will this new OC work? We know that Dorsey just got fired, their OC. So what's going to happen, right? Like, there's a lot of factors here. Will they go for 2, which they just did before, and not kick the extra point? So we'll see. I mean, Tyler Bass might miss a kick still. I still think he's okay, but I do have him ranked pretty low. Odds are you should be able to get a guy like Joey Sly super easy off free agency. I almost never bid on a kicker. When you do see me bid, it's probably a $1 bid out of a $1,000 FAB. So you should be able to get these guys for free. I have tremendous confidence in my streaming options for kickers. And we've been pretty good when it comes to streaming defenses and kickers this year on this show, this weekly Tuesday show. And then at number 10, we have the Texans kicker. A little bit unpredictable here, but the Texans are hot, man. I like them, and Matt Amendola didn't seem to be missing too many kicks. I do miss Keami Fairbairn. I think he's extremely talented. Hope he comes back soon, but looks like he's going to be out at least another week or 2. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Got a bit of a headache, wasn't feeling too well, but didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I'm still okay, just a little groggy today, but wanted to get this video out. It's an important one with some really good ads. If you have any fantasy questions, drop a comment. I do read every single question, every single YouTube comment. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video / live stream.